Hi friends, it's Lisa Hetrick, illustrator for Gina K Designs, and I'm so grateful you could join me today. I have another super fun card using my Today and Always stamp set with Gina K Designs, and here is the inspiration for today, and here is the color palette that we're going to be using. I've got Plum Punch, Passionate Pink, Innocent Pink, Prickly Pear, Sweet Corn, and Jelly Bean Green. I love this bottom row of colors because the yellows are leaning towards the green side and they're perfect for foliage, so we're going to have some fun. I've also got a piece of watercolor, a watercolor pan here of yellow, and I'm not sure if I'm going to use it or not, but I've got it out. I've got some Connect glue, I've got a water brush, and I have some scissors because there is going to be a little bit of fussy cutting. I'm also using some Gina K Designs cardstocks as well. So I went ahead and pulled the daisy from the Today and Always stamp set, and I'm going to go ahead and ink it up with some Passionate Pink and stamp it down onto the piece of cardstock. I've got just a piece of leftover Gina K Designs white cardstock, and I'm just going to go ahead and stamp that down and set that aside because I'm going to fussy cut that out, and that's going to be a super fun embellishment for the card today. And now I'm going to go ahead, oops, I love that color, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and grab the sweet corn, and I've got one of the center elements for the daisies from the Today and Always stamp set, and I'm going to go ahead and ink that up with the sweet corn and stamp that down on that piece of cardstock as well. And I'm going to cut these two embellishments out and set them off to the side so that I can go ahead and move on to the actual layer that we're going to be working with predominantly today. But I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. And yes, I'm fussy cutting. It's super fun. I do love it. And just kind of set them to the side. Okay, so I have a piece of the Gina K Designs white cardstock that I'm going to be using here. And I'm going to start out with the ranunculus stamp set, and I've got Plum Punch. So I am working with a dark color here, this eggplanty, like purpley color. And I'm going to just go ahead and stamp that down to the center of the cardstock here. And I really like this color. I think it's really a nice grounding color for using all of the other colors that I'm going to be using that are pinks and some of these greens. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do a little test here. And I wasn't sure if I was going to use that yellow pan set that I had. And I kind of just mixed it up a little bit with some prickly pear. And I'm going to do a little test on this other piece of cardstock, and I am not digging that color at all. I think it's going to be really overpowering, and I really just want this little bit of watercolor background to just be pretty light. And you can see it kind of stained my my craft mat here, so it's definitely going to be too dark. So I just took a little bit of actually the sweet corn and watered it down with my water brush here, really getting it watered down. And I'm going to use that, and I'm just using it as a very, very light touch on this cardstock because it's not watercolor paper and it will buckle if you have too much water. But I really just wanted a faint sense of yellow, like a creamy yellow, so sweet corn is perfect for that, for my background. So I just went ahead and heat set it so that I could go ahead and move on. And I'm keeping the mask on the ranunculus right now because I'm going to work my way around that flower with the other elements from the stamp set. So I have the leaf, and I have the eucalyptus leaf, and I'm inking up with some jelly bean green, and I'm just kind of creating this this nice angled look here from the upper left corner to the lower right, and just working my way around the flower and just creating this bouquet look, but kind of controlled and graphic looking. So I've got the fern that I just stamped in there, and I stamped it with some sweet corn, and I've got the smaller version of the fern, and I'm using some prickly pear to just kind of finish off that cluster that I've got in that lower right hand corner. And the colors are really skewing on that green tone, so they blend really well with that jelly bean green. The sweet corn and the prickly pear have a nice little greenish tone to them. And I took that little center portion and this rosebud and did Dusty Rose and Passionate Pink and layered it right over top of that yellow, and it kind of just makes that color pop. It just adds a little bit extra pink that's going to work with that embellishment when I position that embellishment in there for the final card design. So I'm just working my way around the top left-hand corner and the bottom right-hand corner of the flower, and I pull the mask off, and you can see that oh, I just love that because the ranunculus is coming forward and all of the foliage elements are going backward. But here's the dilemma. As per usual in my design thinking, I was so obsessed with creating the bouquet that I did not leave enough room for the today sentiment to really nest in there very well. And I always do the sentiments last instead of positioning them in there first and working around them. So I just kind of, this kind of threw me for a little bit of a loop, and I just kept kind of noodling around and thinking, oh, I really don't dig the way that sentiment looks up there in the upper left. It means I would have to really do some enhanced design stuff to the lower right, and it kind of just did not feel good to me. So I kind of just stared at it for a bit while I was making this card, and I really just got a little bit stymied and just decided, all right, well, what do you do? The bouquet looks amazing. I love the bouquet. I really wanted it to be in a vertical format, so I think I'm going to have to move to a more horizontal format for this card, which I still love it because it's got that whole like movement from the bottom left to the upper right. So it's got a really nice look and feel to it. Now, I could have just left it alone here and not added a sentiment, but I really, really wanted to add a sentiment, and I really, really wanted this to be vertical. So I just kept going back and forth between vertical and horizontal and trying to figure out the composition of this design. And nothing is wasted here. So many of us get to card design and we're just trying to figure out what sentiment's going to work, what's not going to work. And I do too. So I might have a vision of an inspiration of something in my head, and a lot of times as I start getting into it and start stamping and getting my jam on, things change. So I went ahead and committed to a horizontal look for this card, and then went back to one of my other stamp sets and pulled the hello sentiment from my Something Good stamp set to take a look at, see how that would fit in the card. And I was kind of digging it. It's a little tight, but I kind of like the idea of the hello being nested down in between the leaf element and the daisy embellishment. So I went ahead and inked it up with some plum punch, and you know, I've already gone rogue on everything else on this card. I just decided I'm going to go ahead with the sentiment and just ink it up and position it down in there. That color is definitely going to end up layering over some of the things that I already have there, but the color is dark enough that it's going to work pretty well. So I'm digging it. I like it. The plum punch, it kind of helps draw that ranunculus down a little bit. The colors are very compatible, so I'm digging it. So I went ahead and added some of the Connect glue to the back, and I'm just going to position it to the front of my my piece of cardstock here. And I love this piece of cardstock. This is the turquoise cardstock. Love it. It makes for a great, great card base, and I think it's perfect. This blue tone is really just kind of pulling some of the blues that would be in, that are in that ranunculus. So love it, digging it, but I still felt like there was something kind of missing. So I wanted to add a little something to that lower right hand corner. So I went back to the Hello Beautiful stamp set, not the Something Good stamp set that I said earlier, and I grabbed the Splatter stamp and just went ahead and inked that up with a little bit of sweet corn just to add a little bit of extra texture onto this design. So, you know, along the way, things just kind of felt like they were getting away from me, but the fun part of stamping is just keep going. So I added this little splatter in 3 different places with the sweet corn, and it's layering over top of that little bit of watercolor that I got going there, and I really think it adds another element of texture and dimension, and I'm kind of digging it. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in the inspiration for this project, and you know, here was the card inspiration with the Today is Your Day, and it was definitely the format that I wanted to go, but here's the end result, and I am really digging this bouquet, and I think everything turned out great, and I love it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed today's card tutorial. Thanks so much for joining me. Please consider sharing the joy by liking this video and subscribing to this channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.